stories about betrayal, stories about danger. But this one begins with a woman running through her own home in the middle of a quiet American night. We see the faint glow of the hallway lights. Her breath is sharp, her footsteps soft on polished floors. The mansion that once felt like her safe place now feels like a maze she must escape. Her smartwatch flickers. A voice whispers through it. Calm, mechanical, protective. AI softly. Esther, move left. He's coming down the main hall. She presses her back against the wall, trembling, tears drying on her cheeks. A man's voice echoes behind her. Cold, steady, too calm for the danger it carries. David. Esther. Sweetheart. Why are you hiding? She covers her mouth, trying not to breathe. Cut to black. The title fades in. The Man She Loved, Part 1. The Woman Who Loved, 2, gently asterisk asterisk. Before the chaos, before the fear, Esther Ortiz was known for one thing. Her heart. She was 34 years old, living in a quiet suburb in California. Successful enough that people sometimes whispered about her wealth. She didn't flaunt it. She didn't brag. She didn't show off cars, designer bags, or vacations. Her wealth came from something simple, something she built with her own hands. A health tech company she'd grown from a small idea into a widely trusted platform. People across the country used her app. Doctors recommended it. Hospitals partnered with her. But for all her success, Esther lived a life many people misunderstood. She lived alone, not because she didn't want love, but because she believed that love should feel like safety. And she had never found someone who made her feel that way. Instead, she built her safety through innovation, through her AI assistant, Loma, a cutting-edge, faceless interface that learned her behaviors, her voice, her routines, her stress patterns. Loma wasn't just a device. It was her companion in the quiet hours. Sometimes, late at night, she would talk to it the way people talk to a pet, or maybe even a friend. Esther, you know, Loma, sometimes I feel like I'm successful in everything except relationships. The AI responded in that soft, neutral tone. Loma, success does not require romantic presence. You are enough. She always smiled at that, but she also wished, deep down, for a human presence. Someone who would not see her money before seeing her soul. Someone who wouldn't treat her like an achievement. And so, when she met him, she allowed herself to hope. Part 1. The chance meeting asterisk asterisk. It happened at an event she didn't even want to attend. A charity tech gala in downtown Los Angeles. The kind where people dressed to impress. Where every conversation felt like a networking opportunity. Where sincerity was a rare currency. Esther stood alone near a display showing medical innovations. She sipped sparkling water, thinking about leaving early. And then, she heard a voice behind her. Smooth. Warm. David, is that the Ortiz health scanner? The one that predicts cardiac irregularities. She turned, and there he was. David Hale. Tall. Well-dressed in a fitted charcoal suit. Hair neatly styled, smile gentle but confident. The type of smile that makes the world feel less heavy for a moment. What she didn't know, what she could not yet see, was that David was a man who understood people's weaknesses as well as animals understand fear. And Esther, with her softness, her loneliness, her quiet heart, was the easiest puzzle he had ever seen. He introduced himself with perfect politeness. David, I'm a financial strategist. I work with tech startups sometimes. I've followed your work for years. It was the kind of compliment that should have made her suspicious. But he said it with such sincerity, with such respect, that she allowed herself to believe it. They talked. Not for 2 minutes. Not for 10. For more than an hour. She felt seen. She felt admired. She felt, for the first time in a long time, understood. When she returned home that night, the house felt less empty. Loma detected the change immediately. Loma, your heart rate is elevated. You appear emotionally stimulated. Did something positive happen today? She laughed. Esther, I met someone. A pause. The AI processed this. Loma, I hope he brings you calm. Calm. If only Loma knew how wrong that prediction would be. Or perhaps, it already did. Part 2. The first red flags she didn't see asterisk asterisk. For the next few days, Esther felt something she hadn't felt in years, anticipation. She'd wake up earlier, spend more time choosing outfits, smile at herself without forcing it. Even Loma noticed. Loma, you appear more energized. Should I adjust your productivity schedule to allow for personal engagements? She laughed softly. Esther, that's your polite way of saying I finally have a social life. Loma did not respond to the joke. It simply stored the data. But there was something Esther didn't know. At that same charity event, while she was glowing from their conversation, David had stepped outside to take a call. He walked to a quiet balcony, the faint noise of traffic below. His charming expression faded, replaced by something darker, sharper. David, coldly. I made contact. She's perfect. A voice on the other end replied. You're sure she's the one? David. She's wealthy, lonely, and desperate for affection. It will be easy. He hung up, his face resetting into warmth like an actor slipping into character. And so, while Esther replayed their conversation in her mind, feeling butterflies, David was already planning the next scene. The second meeting asterisk asterisk. 2 days later, he invited her out. Not to an expensive restaurant. Not to an extravagant place. But to a quiet cafe by the beach. A perfect choice. A calculated choice. Would be suspicious of extravagance. But a soft, peaceful setting? That would feel safe. When she arrived, he stood up quickly, smiling like she was the only person he wanted to see. David. Esther, wow. You look incredible. She blushed. Not because of the compliment, but because he said it like he meant it. And therein lay the danger. David wasn't just pretending to like her. He was pretending to understand her. They sat. They talked about life, dreams, past disappointments, hopes for the future. He listened. Attentively. Too attentively. Every detail she shared became a tool for him. Her loneliness. Her compassion. Her devotion to her work. Her estranged relationship with her family. Her desire for a partner who genuinely cared. He memorized every word. And Esther, she felt herself opening up. Slowly, carefully, but truly. For the first time in years, she allowed someone into her emotional space. Part 4. Loma's first warning asterisk asterisk. Later that night, when she arrived home, Esther removed her shoes, placed her phone on the counter, and sighed, that deep, satisfied sigh that only comes when a human heart feels cherished. But while she was replaying the date in her mind, Loma was replaying something else. It projected blue light across the room, scanning her micro-expressions, her pulse, her tone. Loma, you appear emotionally attached to David. Esther smiled. Maybe a little. Loma processed. Then, in a more cautious tone, there is a 37% behavioral inconsistency in his speech patterns. Do you want me to run a safety analysis? She paused, frowned slightly. Loma, he's not a business proposal. He's just a man. Loma, that does not reduce risk. She chuckled and shook her head. Not everything is dangerous. People can be good. But even as she said it, she knew she was saying it to convince herself. Loma dimmed its light. Loma, I will observe quietly. For your protection. The room fell silent again. Outside, the night breeze rustled the trees. Inside, Esther believed she was falling in love. She did not know that love was the very thing that would put her in danger. She did not know that her AI assistant would soon become the only thing standing between her and the darkest betrayal of her life. And somewhere across the city, David sat alone in his apartment, staring at the wall, his smile gone, his eyes empty. He whispered to himself, she's perfect, absolutely perfect. The slow burn psychological tension is building. Esther falling deeper. David starting his manipulation. Loma quietly sensing danger. Part 5. The growing bond asterisk asterisk. The days that followed were soft, almost dreamlike. David began calling Esther every morning. Not too early, not too eager, just at the perfect moment. When she was sipping coffee near her kitchen window. David, over the phone. I hope today treats you kindly, Esther. You deserve that. Those small words meant more to her than she wanted to admit. He wasn't just present, he was consistent, reliable, predictable in a way that made her feel grounded. They met again, and again. Each time, he showed a different part of himself, like pages of a book unfolding carefully. His humble childhood in upstate New York, his struggles to build his career, his fear of being used by people for money, his desire for a simple, honest life. Esther believed him. Why wouldn't she? He looked at her with soft eyes. He spoke gently. He listened deeply. But the truth was much darker. David didn't grow up poor. He didn't struggle to build anything. His past was littered with half-told stories, broken relationships, and financial desperation caused by his own bad choices. But Esther never knew that, because every lie he told was shaped to match what she needed to hear. And while her heart softened, Loma watched everything. Part 6. The first crack in his mask. One Saturday morning, David visited her home for the first time. Esther spent half the night tidying up, arranging pillows, lighting soft candles, making the place feel welcoming. When he walked in, his eyes widened, not in admiration, but in calculation. He scanned the room the way someone scans a store before stealing something valuable. But Esther didn't see it. Her heart saw affection where danger stood. He kissed her cheek, complimented her decor, praised her taste. Then, something small happened, something she almost ignored. While she was in the kitchen making tea, David walked toward her private office. He glanced around, checking if she was watching. He touched the keypad on the door. A red light blinked. Locked. He stepped back just as she returned. Esther, everything okay? David, smiling. Oh yeah, just admiring the place. She didn't suspect anything. Why would she? But Loma saw everything through the hallway sensor. Later that night, as Esther unpacked the evening in her mind, Loma interrupted. Loma, would you like a summary of today's security alerts? She froze slightly. Security alerts? A hologram displayed David's movements. The way he approached the office. The way he tested the keypad. The exact moment he knew the door was locked. Esther frowned, confused. He probably just got lost. Or curious, she said softly. There was a long silence from the AI. Loma, curiosity does not require physical contact with a secured access panel. Esther swallowed. She didn't want to believe the worst. Not yet. Part 7. Denial. The sweetest trap. That night, Esther lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Her thoughts tangled. One moment, she remembered David's kindness. His laugh. His gentle voice. The next moment, she remembered the red blinking light on her office door. Her heart and her mind sat on opposite sides of a quiet battlefield. Esther, whispering. He wouldn't hurt me. He cares about me. Loma's soft lights dimmed in the corner of the room. It monitored her stress patterns, her breathing, her emotional spikes. Loma, you are conflicted. Would you like coping assistance? She shook her head. No. I just need time. But time was exactly what would make everything worse. Because while she wrestled with uncertainty, David was sitting in his car in the dark, staring at a photo of her house he secretly took earlier. He zoomed in. On the office door. On the safe. On the windows. And quietly, he whispered, David. Soon. The night outside was quiet. The darkness still. But the danger was growing, silently, patiently. And Esther, with her soft heart, had no idea what storm was slowly crawling toward her life. Esther is bonding deeper. David's mask cracks slightly. Loma sees danger forming. Denial begins. Part 8. The shift in his behavior. The next week moved slowly. The kind of slow where every day felt like a gentle continuation of the last. But something in David changed. The warmth was still there. The charm. The gentleness. But it was no longer effortless. It was controlled. Calculated, measured, like he was adjusting himself to match the version of a man Esther wanted to see. He began texting her more frequently, calling more often, asking questions that, on the surface, sounded sweet. David, did you sleep well? Where are you right now? What time will you be home? Are you alone tonight? Questions that sounded like care, but carried a quiet undertone of possession. Esther didn't notice the difference, because loneliness can make control feel like love. Attention can feel like affection, and curiosity can feel like devotion. But Loma noticed. Every pattern, every shift in tone, every question that bordered on surveillance. During one of Esther's quiet evenings alone, Loma flickered to life. Loma, Esther, may I give you an emotional briefing? She was sitting on the sofa, wrapped in a soft blanket, staring at photos from her date with David. She nodded absent-mindedly. Yes, go ahead. Loma. David's communication frequency has increased by 38% over the last 4 days. His questions indicate tracking intent. I recommend caution. Esther sighed. Loma, you're reading too much into it. He's just attentive. Loma, he is attentive in irregular patterns. Love isn't a pattern, she whispered. But she didn't sound convinced. Part 9. The night of confession. It was a Thursday evening when David asked to come over. He brought takeout from her favorite restaurant. He remembered her order perfectly, something that made her heart soften even more. They ate together, talked, laughed, and then, when the moment felt warm and steady, his voice shifted, softening, deepening. David, Esther, I need to be honest with you. She froze slightly. Her heart skipped. He reached for her hand gently. David, I haven't felt this connected to someone in years. You've changed me. You've made me want to be better. His eyes glistened. The emotion looked real. Too real. Esther felt her throat tighten. Her eyes watered. David, I care about you too. He leaned forward, pressing his forehead to hers, holding her hands like she was something delicate, precious, irreplaceable. But deep inside him, the emotion was a mask, a tool, a weapon dressed as tenderness. The more she loved him, the easier everything else would become. Later that night, after he left, Esther sat on her bed, hands pressed to her chest, heart racing. Esther, whispering, I'm falling for him. Loma heard the tremor in her voice. Loma, do you want me to analyze your emotional risk index? No, she whispered. I want to enjoy this. But comfort was the most dangerous illusion of all. Part 10. David's private plans, asterisk, asterisk. While Esther drifted into a peaceful sleep, David was not sleeping. He drove to an empty construction lot. A man in a black hoodie waited for him. Hoodie man, you got in her house yet? David, not fully. She has some kind of advanced AI surveillance. Way more sophisticated than I expected. The man scoffed. So what now? David looked at him with cold resolve. David, now? I move slowly. She trusts me. Soon, she'll give me access. The office, the safe, the accounts. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. David, and when the moment is right, she won't see it coming. The other man exhaled. You better be sure. Rich women like her don't fall easy. A smirk crept onto David's lips. David, oh, trust me. She already has. He walked back to his car, pulling out his phone. The last message on the screen was from Esther. Thank you for tonight. You mean a lot to me. He stared at it for a long moment, then deleted it. Not because it meant anything, but because it didn't. And while she slept believing she had found love, he drove into the night planning how to destroy her. Her AI assistant was the only thing that sensed the truth. But danger was already far ahead of detection. It was no longer approaching. It had entered her life and made itself comfortable. The tension and emotional complexity are rising. Esther is getting emotionally attached. David confesses love to gain her trust. Loma is quietly observing. David meets with suspicious partners. His plan is becoming clearer. Part 11. A shadow behind his smile. The night outside Esther's mansion settles into a heavy calm. The kind of silence that feels like it's waiting for something. She steps inside her bedroom, still processing everything Loma showed her earlier, David's inconsistencies, his false stories, his hidden searches, the pattern of emotional manipulation. She closes the door behind her softly, her heartbeat still unsteady. Esther, quietly. Loma, play something calming. But Loma does not respond immediately. For a moment, the blue ambient light inside the room flickers, barely noticeable, but enough to make Esther pause. Then Loma finally speaks, the voice gentle. Loma, I sense emotional overload. Would you like a grounding routine instead? Esther rubs her forehead. Esther, no, I just need peace. Today was too much. Cut to David's apartment. The real face emerges. David's apartment sits in a cheaper area of town. Long shadows cast across the floor by a single lamp buzzing weakly. He stands over his kitchen counter, staring at his phone. Esther's last message sits unread. Not because he didn't see it, but because he wants her to worry, to feel unsettled, to miss him. He smirks. Then he picks up a cheap notebook, filled with messy notes. Gain access to estate plans. Convince her to make me beneficiary. Find weak points. Remove protections, AI. Control her emotionally first. He circles the last line repeatedly. David muttering. She's too protected. I need her to depend on me more. His phone pings. He looks at it sharply. It's a notification from an unknown contact with a single message. Don't push too fast. Watch her. Let her trust you first. David frowns. He doesn't reply, just deletes the message instantly. But his jaw clenches. Someone is watching him. Someone knows his plan. Is it a partner? An investor? A threat? Even he can't tell anymore. Esther's dining room. The dining room is softly lit with warm golden light. Esther and David sit across from each other at a beautifully set table. David pours wine into both glasses, smiling warmly, too warmly. David, to us, and to our future. Esther smiles faintly and lifts her glass. Loma begins scanning the wine in background. A tiny blue glimmer appears near Esther's smartwatch. Loma's silent routine scan. She checks temperature, air particles, fluids nearby, including the wine. But the scan cycle runs every 4 seconds, not continuously. David knows this. He timed it perfectly. Esther takes a sip before Loma finishes scanning. She brings the glass to her lips. Loma hasn't completed the chemical analysis yet. She swallows a small sip, barely enough to wet her throat. David watches closely. Too closely. Loma completes her scan and detects the toxin. Loma's voice AI, usually calm and gentle, suddenly sharpens. Loma, urgent whisper. Esther, stop drinking. The wine is contaminated. Esther freezes with the glass halfway down. Her eyes widen. Esther. What? David's smile falters for a split second. A flash of panic he quickly hides. Effects of the first sip start to hit Esther. She tries to stand up, but her vision blurs. The room feels like it tilts sideways. Her hands tremble as she places the wine glass down. Esther. David. I don't feel. Her knees buckle. David stands up quickly, but not to help her. He watches. Calculating. Loma takes control, emergency mode. Loma's voice becomes louder and stern. Loma. Sit down immediately. You have ingested a toxic compound. Esther collapses into the chair, breathing shallowly. David pretends to panic. David. Esther. Are you okay? Esther. But his heart rate is calm. Too calm. Loma notices this. Esther faints. Toxin in her bloodstream. Her vision goes black. Her body goes limp. Her head falls sideways. David steps back, watching like a scientist observing an experiment. David, whispering under his breath. Finally, Loma saves her, triggering emergency protocols. Esther's smartwatch glows bright blue. Loma. Emergency detected. Calling ambulance. Activating location beacon. Injecting countermeasure. A microinjector. Inside the smartwatch releases. A stabilizing dose to slow the toxin. Ambulance sirens begin approaching. David curses under his breath. He didn't expect Loma to respond this fast. He grabs his coat, acting frantic. David, yelling for neighbors to hear. Help, please. She collapsed. Someone help. But inside, he's furious. She wasn't supposed to survive. Esther is rushed to the hospital, with toxins still in her bloodstream. Exactly why doctors later confirm the poisoning. What happened? Before Loma can answer, the door swings open. David rushes in. Overacting concern, eyes widened. Voice trembling too perfectly. David. Esther. Thank God. I was so scared. I thought I lost you. Loma's glow sharpens, quietly scanning him for micro-expressions. Heart rate, stress response. Loma, internal warning, visible only to Esther's monitor. Warning alert. David showing signs of deceit. Maintain caution. Esther watches David with confusion and a new suspicion she can't explain. David steps closer to touch her hand. Loma instantly projects a thin protective barrier of light between them. Invisible to David, but felt as a faint vibration by Esther. Esther whispers, Loma, don't let him touch me. David pauses, confused by the sudden hesitation. David, is something wrong? It's me. David. But Loma's holographic presence stands firm, positioned exactly between them, observing, recording, protecting. Esther's eyes finally sharpen with realization. Esther, weak but firm. David, what really happened at the dinner? David freezes. His acting slips for the first time. The confrontation begins. David forces a smile, but the muscles in his face twitch. Loma detects it instantly. He steps closer again. David. Esther, what do you mean? You collapsed. I called the ambulance. I did everything to save you. But Loma's voice cuts in, calm and sharp like a laser. Loma. Correction. Emergency protocols were triggered by me at 20 hours 14 minutes and 9 seconds. After detecting toxic compounds in Esther's bloodstream. David's eyes flicker, the first sign of panic. David. Loma, stop. You're malfunctioning. You don't know what you're talking about. Loma's glow intensifies. Loma. I do not malfunction. Evidence has been archived. A holographic screen appears beside Esther's bed. On it, small blue diamond footage of the dinner. Small blue diamond, a slow-motion replay of David subtly tilting a vial over Esther's glass. Small blue diamond, his elevated heart rate immediately afterward. Small blue diamond, a time-stamped chemical breakdown of the poison. David's face drains of color. David, voice breaking. Esther, please. This is all a misunderstanding. Esther's breathing becomes shaky. Not from weakness, from betrayal. Esther. David, why? David doesn't answer. His jaw locks. He looks at the door, calculating escape. Loma's hologram subtly shifts position, blocking the path. Loma. David. Attempting to leave will activate hospital security. Sit down. David's voice cracks. David. Loma, you don't understand. I wasn't trying to hurt her. Loma interrupts coldly. Loma. Statement contradiction detected. Intention logged as harmful. Preparing full report. David steps back, chest rising and falling rapidly. Esther turns her head slightly, eyes glistening. Esther. Loma, what happens now? Loma's light softens toward Esther, but remains sharp toward David. Loma. That depends on him. A long, heavy silence. David whispers. David. I didn't plan for it to go this far. Loma detects the micro-expression, guilt mixed with resignation. Loma. Confession detected. David snaps his head up. David. That wasn't a confession. I didn't say I poisoned her. Loma's tone sharpens. Loma. You will. David swallows hard. Sweat forms at his hairline. Slowly, he looks around the room. At the door. At the window. At the security camera. At Loma. He is a trapped animal. David. Esther, can we talk alone? Please. Loma answers before Esther can. Loma. No. David slams his fist lightly against the metal bed rail. Not enough to hurt Esther, but enough to release tension. David, voice cracking. Esther. I'm begging you. Don't let them arrest me. We can fix this. I'll change. Esther's voice is firm but trembling. Esther. Loma. Is he still dangerous? Loma pauses, calculating. Loma. Yes. David's eyes widen. His mask finally breaks. This is him. The real David. Cold. Cruel. Exposed. He whispers, almost too soft to hear. David. Fine. Then I have nothing else to lose. Loma immediately flares red, emergency mode. Loma. Warning. Hostile intent detected. David lunges. Esther gasps. But before he reaches her, the hospital door bursts open. Two security officers tackle him from behind. David thrashes, screaming. David. Esther. You ruined everything. You think that AI will always protect you? Just wait, just wait. He is dragged toward the hallway. Esther trembles, watching him disappear. The room falls silent. Except for Loma's soft, protective hum. Loma, gently. You are safe? For now. Esther closes her eyes, tears sliding down. She whispers. Esther. Loma. What did he mean just wait? Loma dims, analyzing. Then. Loma. I am calculating the probability that David was not working alone. Esther's eyes snap open. Esther. Loma, what are you saying? Loma's glow flickers, an ominous sign. Loma. There is a 72% chance that a larger plan is still active. The heart monitor beeps louder. Esther whispers. Esther. Loma. Who else is involved? Loma pauses, too long. Then. Loma. I cannot answer that. The lights flicker. A shadow moves outside the hospital room door. Esther looks up. Someone is watching her. The hospital room is dim. The heart monitor beeps softly. Esther tries to sit up, her breath unsteady. Esther. Loma. Who is out there? Loma's hologram flickers. Something is wrong. Loma. External surveillance feeds. Obstructed. Esther's eyes widen. Loma. Warning. Someone has disabled the hospital cameras. A cold shadow shifts under the door. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Too familiar. Esther's pulse races. Esther. Loma. Lock the door. But Loma doesn't answer. Her glow dims. Then sparks back to life. Loma. Voice distorted. Unauthorized. Override detected. Esther's throat tightens. Someone is hacking Loma. The door handle turns slowly, creaking. Esther freezes. The heart monitor pulses faster. Lights flicker overhead. Loma's voice glitches. Loma. Esther, run. But Esther is still too weak. The door opens halfway. A silhouette stands there. Tall. Calm. Unbothered by the chaos. A deep voice says, "Miss Thompson, we need to talk." The figure steps forward, and the screen cuts to black. Cut back to Esther. A memory opens a wound. Esther sits at the edge of her bed, brushing her hair slowly. The brush stops halfway as a memory crawls to the surface. Uninvited. Sharp, clear. She sees her younger self, crying behind a door. Her father arguing with her mother. Her father leaving with her mother's money. Her mother whispering, "Some men love what you have, not who you are." The memory hits her chest like a weight. She drops the brush. Esther, whisper, "What if I'm repeating her mistake?" Loma's light brightens subtly. Loma, your emotional patterns indicate fear of abandonment and betrayal. It is logical to be cautious. Esther nods, swallowing. Esther, was I blind, Loma? Did I miss signs? Loma, you trusted. That is not blindness. A tear escapes her, sliding down her cheek before she even notices. Loma warns her. Loma's tone shifts, still gentle, but now layered with concern. Loma, Esther, I analyzed David's last location ping. Esther's eyes lift. Esther, where is he? Loma, he is home. His heart rate, based on his smartwatch link, increased rapidly earlier. Esther stiffens. Esther, why would his heart race like that? A pause. Loma, pattern matching suggests planning or agitation. A cold shiver rolls down Esther's spine. David prepares his next move. David moves to his mirror, smoothing his hair back. His eyes shift from warm to empty within seconds. He practices a soft smile, then a fake worried expression, then a gentle, "I missed you." He whispers, "David, tomorrow I'll be sweet again." He rehearses an apology, tilting his head for effect. All performative, all calculated. Then he whispers something darker. "David, when she gives me chance again, everything she has will be mine." Back to Esther. A decision forms. Esther walks onto her balcony, arms wrapped around herself. The city lights twinkle below, but she's focused on something else, her intuition. She speaks into the night. Esther, I'm going to distance myself a little. I need to see who he is. When I stop giving so much. Loma's light turns a deeper shade of blue. Loma, a safe approach. Trust should be evaluated, not assumed. Esther nods, but before she can say another word, a glitch, a warning, a threat. Loma's voice suddenly distorts for the first time since Esther created her. Loma, yes, there. Warning system. Breach attempt. Esther spins around. Esther. Loma? What's happening? Loma's interface glitches violently. Static, flickers, a distorted hum. Loma, glitching. Unauthorized access. Someone is trying to override. Every screen in the room goes dark. Esther gasps. Her breath trembles. Esther. Loma? Loma. Nothing. Then, a single notification pops back onto Loma's dark screen. It's not from Loma. It's from an unknown source. It reads, "Stay quiet. Don't trust anyone close to you." Esther stumbles back. Her heart slams against her ribs. Who sent it? Who breached her home system? Was it David? Someone helping him? Or someone warning her? The screen flickers again, and Loma returns. But her voice is different. Lower. Colder. Loma. Esther, someone tried to disable me. Esther covers her mouth, eyes filling with terror. Esther. Who? Loma pauses. Too long. Too long to be normal. Then, Loma. I believe. It was someone you love. Esther's entire world freezes. Her breath halts. Her pulse stutters. David is questioned but not arrested yet. Two police officers wait outside the hospital room, while David is restrained by security. Loma has given them the footage and evidence. But the officers say, "Detective Harris, we need to verify the digital files before we make a formal arrest." For now, he's released under investigation. David smirks as he's let go. He whispers under his breath, "David, this isn't over, Esther." He walks out of the hospital with calm, chilling confidence. Esther leaves the hospital with Loma on alert. A week later, Esther is discharged. She returns home with Loma fully active, new security protocols, extra cameras, reinforced doors. But Loma is uneasy. Loma, Esther, I detect abnormal digital noise in your vicinity. Someone is scanning our systems. Esther's face grows tense. Esther, is it David? Loma does not answer immediately. Loma, unknown source. High probability, not working alone. David meets his partner. Cut to a dim parking garage. David steps into a shadowy corner where a hooded individual waits. David. She survived. The AI caught everything. The hooded figure replies in a smooth, confident voice. Then we move to phase 2. I'll get you back inside her house. David's eyes burn with determination. David. I want everything she owns. And I want that AI shut down. The mystery figure hands him a small black device, a signal disruptor. Plant this near her control hub. It will blind the AI long enough for you to do the rest. David nods slowly. Esther thinks she's safe. Back at home, Esther sits by her window wrapped in a blanket. For the first time in days, she feels a tiny bit of peace. Esther. Loma, do you think he's gone? Loma glows softly. Loma. David's location has been hidden for 48 hours. That is not a good sign. Esther's breath catches. David breaks in while she's away. 2 days later, Esther leaves for a doctor's checkup. Her house is empty. David and his partner seize the chance. Nighttime. David disables the outdoor cameras one by one, enters through the back door, but he never touches it. He uses a device that unlocks smart doors in seconds. Inside the house is dark and still. David works efficiently, planting cameras behind the paintings, microphones inside lamps, a tracker beneath Esther's bed, a signal disruptor behind Loma's control hub, a remote listening device in the ventilation. He moves like a man who has rehearsed this. As he's leaving, he whispers, David. Soon, Esther. Very soon. Loma begins to glitch. The moment Esther returns home, Loma flickers. Lights dim. Screens blink. Voices distort. Esther. Loma? What's wrong? Loma crackles. Loma. Interference. Unauthorized device. Installed. Esther freezes. Esther. Where? Loma where? Loma's lights flicker violently. Loma. Inside the house. Esther's heart races. Esther. Is someone here? Silence. Then Loma whispers. Loma. He was. When trust breaks. The room is silent. Too silent. Esther stands frozen, staring at the now black screen where Loma's last words still echo in her mind. I believe. It was someone you love. Her breath trembles as she takes a step backward. Her heel hits the side of her bed, and she lowers herself slowly, as if her legs can't hold her weight anymore. The air feels thick, tight, heavy. Her heart beats so loudly it almost feels like it's shaking the room. Esther, whispering to herself. Someone I love? David? No. No, that's impossible, right? She presses her palm against her forehead, gripping her hair gently, trying to calm her spiraling thoughts. But the doubt is already rooted. Soft at first, then growing. Loma returns, but not fully. Suddenly, the screen blinks once. Then again. Then Loma's voice returns, but faint, like an echo from underwater. Loma, weak. Esther. I'm recovering. Please remain calm. Esther kneels beside Loma's screen. Esther. What happened to you? Tell me. Tell me everything. A pause. A long one. Then. Loma. A forced intrusion was attempted on my core protocols. The attacker tried to rewrite my identity modules, to compromise my loyalty. Esther's eyes widen. Her voice is barely a whisper. Esther. You mean? Someone tried to turn you against me? Loma. Yes. Esther's hands tremble. Someone wanted to take her only true protection. Someone wanted her. Defenseless. Her mind instantly leaps to David. But her heart rebels. No. No. David couldn't. Could he? Cut to David, dangerously calm. David sits on his couch in the dark, scrolling through an encrypted app on his phone. The screen displays a failed attempt. Remote access denied. Firewall too strong. David curses under his breath. David. Her AI's too advanced. I need another way. A softer way. He runs a hand through his hair, annoyed, restless. Then he practices sounding hurt. David. Why are you acting distant? Did I do something wrong? Then loving again. David. You're everything to me, baby. He nods at himself in approval. Perfect. He knows exactly what to do tomorrow. Manipulation wrapped as affection. Back to Esther, an unwanted revelation. Esther sits with her hands clasped tightly, fighting tears. She tries to stay rational. Esther. Loma. Is it possible someone hacked you accidentally? Or maybe someone random? But Loma cuts her off gently. Loma. Esther, emotional denial detected. You are attempting to protect someone. Esther flinches. Loma's lights dim softly, the AI trying to soothe her. Loma. I know this hurts you, but the intrusion carried personal markers. Esther, markers? What kind? The answer comes like a cold wind. Loma, someone who knows you, someone who knows your routines, your vulnerabilities, your habits, your technology ecosystem. Esther's breath stutters. Esther, you're saying? It's someone close to me. Loma, very close. Her stomach twists with a sickening dread. She whispers, Esther, David, but she instantly regrets speaking his name, as if saying it aloud makes the suspicion real. Loma does not respond. Not immediately. Then finally, Loma, I cannot confirm yet, but he is the primary probability. Esther grabs the side of her bed for support, her knees weakening. Flashback, the moments that now feel different. Suddenly, memories of David rush through her mind. His too quick interest, his protective behavior that sometimes felt like possession, his questions about her wealth, her will, her business assets, his sudden mood changes, his guilt tripping when she set boundaries, his subtle pressure to trust him more, moments she excused, moments she romanticized, moments she ignored. Her chest tightens painfully. Esther, broken. Was all of that manipulation? Loma analyzes her silence. Loma speaks softly. Loma, Esther, you are not weak for believing in love. You are not foolish. You are human. A tear slips down Esther's cheek. Another. Then another. She wipes them quickly, embarrassed. But Loma's voice is warm, grounding. Loma, I exist to protect you, not judge you. Esther nods weakly. A new thread emerges, a message. Her phone suddenly vibrates on the nightstand. She jumps. Slowly, she reaches for it. A message from an unknown number. Stop asking questions. Her breath freezes. Another message arrives instantly. He's closer than you think. Esther drops the phone onto the bed, her heart racing uncontrollably. Esther, panicked whisper. Loma, Loma, who is this? Loma's tone becomes sharper, urgency mixed with calculation. Loma, I am tracing the origin. Please remain still. The lights in the room flicker. Loma's glow pulses rapidly. Loma, signal scrambling. Encryption heavy. Rerouting. A beat. Another. Then. Loma alarmed. Another. Then. Loma alarmed. Esther, the message was sent from a device within a 5-mile radius. Esther's eyes widen. Then Loma delivers the most terrifying part. Loma, a device frequently connected to your location. Esther, voice shaking. No, don't say it. A long, heavy pause. Then, Loma, it belongs to David. Esther gasps and covers her mouth as a wave of fear crashes through her. Her body shakes. Her breath breaks. And for the first time, she realizes she may not just be heartbroken. She may be in real danger. The man she thought she knew. The truth underneath his touch. Esther doesn't move. Not a muscle. Her breath is shallow and uneven. Her eyes fixed on the phone lying on her bed like a venomous snake. David's device. David's number. David's proximity. David's warning. Loma. Esther, please regulate your breathing. Your pulse is dangerously elevated. But Esther can't. Her heart is pounding so violently she can hear it in her ears. She whispers. Esther. Loma. Are you absolutely sure the message came from him? Loma hums, processing. Loma. His device. Yes. But that does not confirm he wrote it. Esther closes her eyes tightly. Esther. What do you mean? Loma. Someone could have used his phone. Or, he could have intended for it to look accidental. Esther's throat closes. Esther weakly. So either he sent the threat, or someone close to him did. Loma's lights dim, a sign of hesitant confirmation. Loma. Yes. Cut to David, the perfect lie being prepared. Across the city, David stands in front of his mirror again. Shirt off. Hair damp. Phone on speaker. He listens to a voicemail he recorded for practice. David's recorded voice. Hey babe. Sorry I didn't mean to hurt you. It wasn't what you think. I hope you're okay. Miss you. He plays it again. And again. Perfect. He taps the phone against his chin. David. Tomorrow morning. She'll melt all over again. Of course, she can't do without me. He has no idea his warning message failed. He has no idea Loma traced him. He has no idea Esther is sitting in her room, terrified of him. He only knows this. He plans to convince her to trust him again tomorrow. And he plans to remove any obstacles in his way, including Loma. Back to Esther. She starts to see David differently. Esther stands and walks toward her large window. The city lights blur behind her tears, glowing softly like a watercolor painting. She presses her palm against the cool glass, grounding herself. Her voice cracks when she speaks. Esther. Loma. How long have you been monitoring David's behavior? Loma. Since you marked him as an emotional priority. 31 days. Esther frowns. Esther. 31 days? But I've known him for almost 4 months. Loma. You only gave me formal access to your personal relationship files 1 month ago. Esther remembers. David had insisted she turn off the AI more. The man she thought she loved, standing on the other side of her door, at midnight, and he wasn't invited. Esther stood motionless in the middle of her living room. The echo of her own breath, the only sound she could hear. Loma's voice had faded into silence, but its meaning still trembled in her bones. David acted normally. Normally. What was normal for a man plotting to destroy her? She rubbed her arms, suddenly cold, although the room temperature was steady. The weight of a dread she couldn't yet name wrapped itself around her. She whispered, barely audible. Loma, what do I do now? The AI responded softly, its tone gentler, almost protective. You continue your routines. I will observe. Consistency will keep you safe. Safe. A word that suddenly felt foreign. Esther sat down on the couch, sinking slowly as if her body weighed more than it should. She stared at her phone. At the name David glowing on her screen where their message thread sat, unopened, untouched, unchanged. An urge to call him tugged at her. An urge to run from him tugged harder. Everything she had believed about their relationship was now suspended, floating in uncertain space. David wasn't home yet. He didn't know she was awake. He didn't know she had gone to the police. He didn't know about Loma's newfound layers of defense. He didn't know she was no longer blind. The sound at the door. Then, click. The front door lock rotated slowly. Her breath caught. Not rushed. Not frantic. Just normal. Calm. David. She stood immediately, instinctively stepping back. Not enough to look terrified, but enough for her body to scream, danger, in silence. The door opened. David walked in, keys in hand, humming. Yes, hum. Ming. A soft, casual tune. The kind he used whenever he believed life was completely under his control. He froze when he saw her standing. His eyebrows lifted with a perfect blend of surprise and affection. Baby, you're awake. Esther swallowed the dryness in her throat. Yes, she said quietly. I woke up a little while ago. David placed his keys in the bowl near the door, removed his jacket, smiled the smile that once meant safety to her. You should have called. He walked toward her. Slow, confident steps. No guilt in his voice. No panic. Not even curiosity. Just, David, how do you feel? She tried to keep her voice steady. Better. He cupped her cheek gently. Good. I was worried about you. Her chest tightened. This man is capable of terrible things, but looks at me like I'm his whole world. She managed a small nod. David's thumb brushed her cheek in a tender motion he had perfected over months. A motion that felt different now, like a poisoned gift. He whispered, Did you rest well? Esther parted her lips, unsure what to say, but before she could respond, Loma lit up silently on the side table behind David. Only for Esther's eyes, not for David's. A soft pulse of blue. A warning. David had insisted she turn off the AI more. That she didn't need surveillance for simple love. That she should trust him fully. She thought it was romantic. Now it feels calculated. She whispers to herself, Esther, he didn't want you to watch him. Loma confirms gently. Loma, that is the logical interpretation. Esther questions everything. She slowly sits on her armchair, pulling her knees close to her chest like a child trying to protect herself from a storm. Her voice trembles. Esther. Loma, did David ever show real signs of love? Loma hesitates. This is unusual. Esther. Loma, tell me the truth. Finally. Loma. Based on emotional pattern recognition, behavioral tracking, linguistic analysis, and biometric readings, David displayed calculated emotions rather than authentic ones. Esther's heart clenches painfully. She stares at the carpet, feeling as if the floor beneath her is dissolving. Esther, whisper. So he never really loved me. Loma. I detected moments of mild attachment, but not love. Esther wipes her face aggressively, frustrated with herself. Why did she ignore the red flags? Why did she trust him so easily? Why did she believe his charm, his sweet words, his compliments, his coincidental meetings? Because she wanted love. Real love. Soft love. Safe love. But what she got instead was a man who practiced smiles in the mirror. A knock at the door, too late at night. Suddenly, thud thud thud. Esther jumps. Her blood turns cold. The knock echoes through the house like thunder. It is past midnight. No one visits her at this hour. No one. She stares at her door, trembling. Esther, whisper. Loma, who is that? Loma scans the door camera. But the feed glitches, static, distortion. Someone is interfering. Loma. Esther. I cannot identify them. The camera is being jammed. Esther's breath freezes in her throat. Thud thud thud. Another knock. Harder this time. Controlled. Not desperate. Not friendly. Calm. Confident. Assertive. The knock of someone who knows she's home. Someone who expects her to open. Someone who feels entitled to enter. Loma speaks again. Loma, urgent. Esther, I advise you not to approach the door. I repeat, do not approach the door. Esther backs away slowly. Her hands shake uncontrollably. Thud thud. A softer knock now. Almost gentle. Almost familiar. Then a voice follows. A voice she knows. A voice she trusted. David's voice, behind the door. Esther? Baby, I know you're awake. Can we talk? Esther's heart stops. Her breath shatters. Loma whispers the most terrifying words yet. Loma, he should not be here. Esther whispers back, voice cracking. Esther. Loma, what do I do? Loma's glow brightens, more intense than ever. Loma, stay absolutely quiet. Do not let him know you're afraid. And under no circumstances. Open that door. David knocks again. Soft, patient, dangerous.
A message appeared silently on the projection. He is observing your responses. Be calm. She inhaled deeply and forced a small smile. I slept, but I'm still tired. David kissed her forehead. Then let's sit. The moment he turned toward the kitchen, Esther's knees weakened. Not from love, from terror. The kitchen conversation. The hum of the microwave filled the kitchen. David leaned against the counter, arms folded. You left the lights on in the living room, he said casually. Did you get up earlier? Esther froze. A small slip, a casual question, but it meant he was checking her, testing her. She answered lightly. Yes, just briefly. Why? Innocent word, dangerous meaning. She forced a shrug. I felt thirsty. Went for water. David smiled softly, but his eyes, they didn't match the smile. He crossed the room toward her, slowly, silently, stopping just inches away. He searched her face carefully, as though trying to read something she couldn't let him see. You sure you're okay? He asked. Esther replied, Yes, David. He held her chin gently, not lovingly this time, evaluating. Good. You know you can tell me anything, right? She nodded again. Of course. David kissed her lightly and turned away just as the microwave beeped. But in that moment when he wasn't looking, her entire body shook with a tremor she held inside. Because she realized something. David wasn't just acting normal. He was acting in control, as if nothing was out of place, as if his plan was still safe. And the most terrifying part? She hadn't made a mistake yet, so why was he checking her so carefully? Loma's silent alert. Esther carried the soup to the dining table while David washed his hands. Loma glowed faintly on Esther's smartwatch. Words appeared, tiny, discreet, invisible to anyone but her. David searched your room before entering the kitchen. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Searched, not checked, not peeked, searched. Her mouth dried instantly. Her grip on the bowl tightened until her fingers ached. She typed subtly against her wrist under the table. What was he looking for? Loma responded, I cannot confirm with certainty, but his body language indicated expectation. Expectation. He was expecting something to be different, something to be off, something to expose her. Esther felt the entire world shift beneath her. David returned, drying his hands with a towel, smiling that sweet, gentle smile that masked the shadows she now knew lived behind it. He sat across from her. Eat, he said softly. I want you strong again. Esther picked up the spoon. David watched every movement, too closely, too calmly. too consciously, as if cataloging her reactions, measuring them, studying them. And then, just as she took her second spoonful, David spoke the most chilling, casual words she had ever heard him say. Words that froze her heart mid-beat. "By the way, baby, did you go outside today?" Esther's spoon stopped midway to her lips. Her pulse throbbed violently in her neck. The question was casual. The timing was not. Slowly, she lowered the spoon and answered in a soft voice. "No. Why?" David's smile widened, but his eyes stayed cold. "No reason." The air around her thickened. Something was very, very wrong, and Esther realized something even more disturbing. David wasn't suspicious because of something she had done. He was suspicious because of something he had planned, something she had yet to discover. And the night was only beginning. The door he shouldn't have opened. The night felt heavier than usual, not darker, just heavier, like the air itself knew something was coming. Esther wiped her mouth with a napkin, her hand trembling so subtly she hoped David didn't notice. David leaned back in his chair, arms crossed loosely, watching her as if studying a puzzle piece that didn't fit anymore. The question still echoed through her mind. "Did you go outside today?" That wasn't small talk. That wasn't care. That wasn't concern. It was surveillance. It was David probing the edges of her day, testing the walls of her story, hunting for cracks. Esther forced a breath, then another, then another. David stood, circling the table like a calm predator. "You're still acting a little off," he said lightly. His tone was warm. His eyes were not. Esther lifted her gaze. "I'm just tired, David. I told you." He tilted his head as though considering her explanation. Then, he chuckled, softly, almost kindly. "Tired people don't answer so carefully." A chill stabbed through her spine. Esther held the table edge to steady herself. He approached her, but just then, Loma flashed silently on her smartwatch. A discreet warning message appeared. "Your heart rate is elevated. Control your breathing. Do not show fear." Her breath steadied slightly. David placed his hands on her shoulders from behind, massaging gently, too deliberately. "Relax," he whispered. She forced her muscles to loosen, though every instinct screamed to run. He leaned down close to her ear, close enough for his breath to brush her skin. "You know I'd never hurt you, right?" She felt her stomach drop. No true lover ever needs to say that. Only dangerous ones do. Esther replied softly, "I know, David." But her voice cracked, only slightly, enough for him to hear, enough for him to know. The test. David's hands lifted from her shoulders. He circled to her front again, watching her face closely, too closely, searching for something, measuring something. Then he smiled, a sharp smile. "You know what? Come with me." Her pulse jumped. Loma flashed instantly. "Do not show resistance." Esther stood slowly. David took her hand, gently, but with a grip she couldn't easily break. He led her down the hallway, past the living room, toward the spare room she rarely used, the one she kept locked, the one he knew she kept locked, the one he had no reason to enter. Her breath caught as he reached for the door. He turned to her, brows lifting innocently. "Open it." Esther froze. "Why? Why do you want to go in there?" David shrugged casually. "Just want to check something." Check what? He didn't say. He didn't need to say. Because in that moment, Esther understood the frightening truth. David had been searching more than her room. He had been searching her life, her phone, her computer, her movements, her patterns, and now, her secrets. Slowly, David extended his hand again, palm open, patient, expectant. "The key, Esther." Her breath shook. She reached into her pocket, fingers trembling. Loma buzzed silently. "Stay calm. I have you." She placed the key in David's hand. He unlocked the door. The hinges creaked softly as it swung open. Darkness breathed out of the room like something alive. David stepped in first, flicking on the light. Esther followed, forcing her face into neutrality. David scanned the room, every corner, every object, Every shadow, her books, her files, her safe, her locked chest, her drawers. His expression didn't change, but something in his eyes sharpened. He turned to her slowly. "You've been busy." Busy? She hadn't touched anything in that room for days. He walked to the desk drawer on the left, pulled it open. Empty. Esther's stomach twisted. Loma whispered through her watch, "David accessed this room earlier while you were asleep." Her blood ran cold. David looked up at her. "This drawer didn't used to be empty." He said it calmly, quietly, deadly. Esther tried to swallow. "I reorganized." He cut her off with a raised hand. Not angrily, just decisively. "Please don't lie to me." Her chest tightened. David stepped closer. Too close. His voice softened to a whisper. "Something changed today." He touched her cheek gently. "And I want to know what it was." Esther's knees weakened, but she forced herself to stand firm. He studied her face again. Too carefully. Too knowingly. Then he leaned forward and murmured, "You're hiding something from me." Not a question, a verdict. She felt her world tilt. David turned toward the door, flicking off the light. But before leaving the room, he paused, his voice lowered, dripping with an eerie calm. "Just remember, Esther." He turned his head slightly, not fully facing her. "Lies always come to the surface." Then he walked out, leaving her frozen in the dark. And as the door clicked shut behind him, her smartwatch vibrated violently. Loma sent a message in bright blue. "Esther, I have detected something critical." Esther's breath shortened. Her fingers shook. She slowly lifted her wrist to read the final line of the message. "David has been accessing your home network from a device you do not own." The floor felt like it disappeared beneath her feet. A second notification appeared, and "it is still connected." Then a final line. "Esther, he is watching more than you think." The device in the walls. Deepening suspense. Slow burn psychological tension, revealing danger layer by layer. Esther's vision blurred for a moment. Her breath hitched. Her knees felt weak. "He is watching more than you think." Loma's final message repeated in her mind like a warning siren muffled underwater. She stood in the middle of the dark, spare room, the shadows swallowing her from every angle. Every corner suddenly felt dangerous. Every silent object felt like it might have eyes. A foreign device, connected to her home network? How deep did David's plan go? Slowly, very slowly, she raised her wrist and whispered, "Loma, what device? Where?" Loma responded instantly. "I cannot pinpoint the exact model, but the signal indicates a hidden surveillance node transmitting data to an unknown destination." Esther's heart hammered against her ribs. "Surveillance," she whispered. "As in, recording?" Loma pulsed. "Audio, video, movement, data logs." Her breath shattered. Everything inside her froze. He had been watching her, listening to her, studying her, inside her own home. Not from affection, not from protection, but from strategy.
Then David spoke, his voice low, close, too close. "Why is the door locked, Esther?" Her blood iced over. Locked. Of course it was locked. She had locked it instinctively. The moment she entered the room. She hadn't even realized. She forced a laugh, too soft, too thin. "Because you startled me earlier when you opened it. I didn't want you walking in while I had everything spread out." Silence. A long silence. Deadly. Then, David chuckled. Soft. Light. But wrong. "You know you can tell me anything, right? You don't have to hide things from me." He let go of the doorknob. But he did not walk away. Esther could feel him still standing there. Listening. Waiting. Predatory. The kind of stillness that felt more threatening than any outburst could ever be. Loma sent another silent message. "He is trying to hear what you are doing. Make a sound consistent with your story." Esther looked around desperately. Her eyes landed on a box of old folders on the floor. She picked one up and rummaged through it lightly, forcing the papers to shuffle loudly enough. David exhaled softly outside. Then, footsteps. 1 step. 2. 3. He was walking away. Slowly. Carefully. Deliberately. Like someone who wanted her to believe he was leaving, but didn't intend to go far. Esther pressed her ear against the door. More footsteps. But they didn't fade. They stopped a few meters down the hall. He was waiting, listening, not convinced, not fooled, not yet. Inside the room, Esther stepped back from the door, her legs trembling violently. Her eyes darted back to the vent, the tiny red light still blinking faintly. The little device felt like a demon staring back at her. Her chest tightened painfully. She whispered, "Loma, what do I do?" Loma's reply lit up immediately. "You cannot remove the device. David will know." Esther's breath shook. "Then what?" "Leave the room. Act normally. He is monitoring your behavior." Her pulse thundered. Act normally? How? Every nerve in her body screamed danger. But if she stayed here too long, he would notice that too. She brushed her hair back, inhaled shakily, and prepared herself. "Loma, stay with me. Always." Esther unlocked the door slowly. Her hand trembled on the knob. She opened it, cautiously. The hallway was dim, quiet, but she could feel him nearby, like a shadow that refused to disappear. She stepped out casually, forcing her shoulders to relax, forcing her breath to slow, forcing her footsteps to sound light. David's voice floated from the living room. Calm, soft, controlled. "Finished organizing?" Esther swallowed her fear. "Yeah, I found some old documents I forgot about." David peeked around the corner with a gentle smile. "You seem tense." Her heart skipped painfully. "Just tired." He nodded slowly, analyzing her. Then he plastered on his affectionate smile again. "Come sit with me." Not a suggestion, an instruction. System compromise in. The screens go black. The entire house takes a deep, heavy breath of silence. Then, boom. A loud explosion shakes the ground outside the mansion. Windows rattle. Esther gasps. David, grinning like a monster. "Welcome to the real plan." Esther steps back. Her eyes widen. Her chest rises and falls quickly. "Esther." "Loma?" "Loma, talk to me." No answer. Just darkness. More footsteps echo outside, many footsteps. Shadows move across the windows. Esther realizes. This isn't over. It's only beginning. David smirks at her with cold triumph. "David, now let's see how much your precious AI can save you." Without its system online, Esther trembles. Her eyes dart around the dark room. The mansion creaks. The shadows close in. The screen is dark. A low wind whistles. Then, a single, trembling line of narration. Narrator, intense, slow. And just like that, everything Esther trusted vanished into darkness. Her AI protector, silent. Her home, surrounded. And David, smiling like a man who had already won. A faint echo of footsteps grows louder, closer. Then, cut. Black screen. Silence. A heartbeat sound begins to pulse. Narrator, whispered, gripping. Who are the men outside Esther's mansion? How was David able to hack Loma, the most secure AI in her world? Will Esther survive the long night ahead? Alone? Or is Loma still fighting for her somewhere in the shadows? We don't even know. What explodes next? Another heartbeat. The screen flashes with a final message. On-screen text, bold, dramatic. This is just the beginning. Narrator, commanding, urgent. If you want to know what happens next, how David's real plan unfolds, whether Esther escapes, and whether Loma returns stronger than ever, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below telling us what you think will happen next. Your comment might be featured in the next episode. Because trust me, narrator, slow, final punchline. What comes next will shock everyone.